Good evening, and welcome to another episode of What's Your Story? Tonight, I have the great privilege of sitting down with Jon Dykstra, who is I wouldn't say a townie, but you've been around for quite a while.
Yeah, Selma, yes, I would certainly say I'm still from away.
Okay, okay.
Absolutely. But I was a summer townie,
Yes.
and started in 1950. My parents started renting a home on Goose Rocks Beach. It was the old Coast Guard station right next to Bill Prescott's house. If you remember, if you knew Bill, but a real Yankee. Now he was a real Yankee.
Interesting fella.
But it truly was, truly was. But my parents,
As are you.
the parents bought the house in 1960, and so we came up. They were here full time from '87 to 2003, and I haven't missed a year in 71 years of having my feet in Goose Rocks Beach sand.
Oh.
So that's my heart has always been here, and now my home is too. So that's good.
What is special about Goose Rocks for you?
It is the feel of the beach. Goose Rocks, because of the Granite Islands specifically, it is, in my mind, the quintessential family beach.
Yeah.
You have the full spectrum of quiet, hardly any waves at all most of the time, or very small waves on the east arcs, if you would, and then, or on the west arcs, and then the very eastern arc of the beach, you've got the open ocean. So you have the long flats. It's wonderful swimming. The sand is unique. The sands of Goose Rocks, what's interesting about that is the sands never leave the arc. They just move back and forth between the two large sandbars. So the sand is constantly reworked. It's not replenished with a lot of new stuff.
Right.
So it's very, very fine. It's angular. You get that squeak when you scuff your feet. That's the grain. The coarseness of the grains is what does that. Although the very small grains, they're angular. So it's just an incredibly unique beach, and the people have been wonderful. Again, having grown up there, I've seen it evolve, but it still maintains that quintessential family feeling, and that's what's
protected.
cool.
Protected.
It's protected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I still live in Saco, but I grew up in the Cape Ellis area.
Right.
And because of our jetty, I have seen so much erosion, damage, and streets.
Yeah.
You know, a two-way street is now like
Yeah.
not there at all.
Yeah.
And so when I do visit Goose Rocks Beach, I always think, how it's just so different. It's so
It's so fully natural too. That's the
yes,
thing about it.
yeah,
It's a
yep.
plus. Yep.
So that sand is, you just wanna. It's all you want to do is stick your feet in it. So
And the low tide, you can walk out so far, particularly again on the western arcs. You
Yeah,
can,
yeah,
so it's a great
yeah.
beach.
so you grew up where?
Upstate New York.
Okay.
So I was born in Kingston, which is halfway between Albany area and the city, and then my family moved up to Schenectady, which is right next to Kingston, when I was 10, and then 8 years after that, I was off to college.
Wow. And where'd you go to college?
Went to a small school in Michigan called Hope College.
Yeah.
And it's it's a long story, but then I fell in love with geology there, and I started my graduate work at Columbia in New York
Okay.
City. I was there for 11 months, which was 10 and a half months too long for me.
Oh.
I'm not a city person,
Uh-huh.
and I was able to finagle an opportunity to go to Dartmouth. And it started off as a field trip, as a Columbia field trip.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with the area. I was able to convince my professor, because he was kind of interested in coming up to Dartmouth. And he became an adjunct professor, or then an associate professor at Dartmouth. And I was the first graduate student, probably the last too, to transfer into the geology department of Dartmouth. So it was great fun.
So
But,
your
yeah.
thesis was, what did you?
I was my thesis advisor was Robert Jastrow from the Goddard Institute of Space Studies in New York City, and Landsat was a satellite that had just launched in '72. So I began working with Jastrow and Goddard on geologic applications of satellite remote sensing. So we were using satellite imagery to look for geologic phenomena. It was kind of fun. So my master's thesis was looking for porphyry coppers in Pakistan. So I was working with Bob Schmidt from the USGS, and he and I went over there and did the ground truthing, which is the great fun of geology with remote sensing.
Yeah.
Is you've got, of course, it's all from satellites. So you need to get out on the ground and find the truth that you were seeing from the imagery.
Okay.
It's great fun.
I
So,
bet.
yeah, I did that for my master's, and then I had so much fun doing that. I stayed on for my doctorate and did my PhD also in Pakistan, just in a different area, looking for porphyry coppers. So
Wow.
that was it.
And I've heard, I think, a little bit about a trip to Mexico with
Yeah, that was later
Mayan
on. The Mayan Ruins.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about
It was
that?
quite a boondoggle, actually. This was a
Oh, I love that
But
word.
but it was a great fun boondoggle. It was a very wealthy co-owner of the company that I was working with, or Satellite Corporation, and he had a dream of finding lost Maya ruins. So he came up to us and said, "Can you use the imagery to find Maya ruins?" Well, the answer is yes, because as my chief geologist told me, if anybody asks you, you can ride a bicycle with no hands, you say yes, and then go find out what a bicycle is. So in the business here, you say,
Gotcha.
you bet we can. And actually, we did a pretty good job. We had a satellite image, and our thesis was that if there was a spectral change in the vegetation, it might be due to when they made these large cities, the Maya, they would create large playas, large open areas that were cemented, if you would, but sealed with carbonate. And when the jungle took back over the city, it would control the species of vegetation that would grow in this very different area. So our idea was that, and you can see those kinds of changes with the satellite imagery. It's multispectral, and so you can see a color change. So we mapped all the areas of different color change and found them at different heights and what have you. And then, again, he was a very resourceful guy. This was 1981, and we had the first GPS receivers. They weren't commercial at all, but Texas Instruments was one of the early developers of satellite receivers. And we had one. He arranged to have a Bell 212 helicopter come in, and we mounted the satellite receiver in the Bell 212 helicopter, and we flew over the Mayan jungle, over the Patan, over in the Yucatan. There were only 3 satellites in orbit at that time. So we had to wait till they came so we could triangulate, and then we moved to the spots that we had on the paper image. And by gosh, we found some stuff. Wow. Most of it had been already mapped by the Carnegie in the, I think it was 40s, but a long time ago, the early 20th century, but they'd been lost because then there were no GPS. So they had no idea where the heck they were most of the time. They were in the jungle.
Yeah.
When we went back and looked at them and described them, we found that many had been previously known, but now we had an absolute fix on them. So
That is amazing.
It was fun, yeah.
So do you know, I'm thinking, his name, David, where he's gone out and the Nautilus, David.
Oh, David Jordan.
David Jordan.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
No, he's a good friend.
Sorry, David.
No, he is a good friend. We often
So
talk
you
about
you
our
must
map
share a
and
lot
stuff.
of stories
We do.
about
We do.
yeah.
Well, he is remote sensing. You know, it's seeing something at a distance. So David's very very knowledgeable in sonar remote sensing and using sound to bounce off the seafloor and be able to see. And I'm using light bouncing off the earth and seeing it from satellite. So yeah, we were in a similar field.
That is really cool. So you Pakistan, other places that you've traveled for work?
Another fun part of being a geologist is that it's geo. It's the Earth. It's a lot of ologist. But all through Japan, in northern Africa, Egypt, Libya, and the Sinai, quite a bit in Oman. in Pakistan, Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Oil. Most of it was oil and gas.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
throughout the U.S. and looking at stuff.
So did you have time to do any like travel experience,
Oh,
culture, all those wonderful things?
Well, I'm
or you
sh-
work?
No, well, no. It was a drink in there once in a while. So I'm to experience culture. I don't know if I can put it that way, but I certainly was able to visit a lot of different cultures. But it was, and Japan was fascinating.
Yeah.
Japan is probably the most foreign. Just when you don't know the language and the characters, you can't read the language.
Yeah.
First time I went to Japan, Connie was with me when the time we went together, and to prepare, we got a subway map. And of course, we got the subway map that was in English, so we could see all the stops. It was absolutely useless, totally useless, because all the signs are in kanji, and so you're trying to use it. So you get a local map and you do character recognition, pattern recognition. So you can look at the shapes and you can see the shapes on the map, and then you can get around. So it was wonderful.
That's pretty cool. You were able to figure that out.
Well, it
and get where
became
you
real
needed to
clear
go.
in fact, as you look at this map, and it was totally
Yeah,
useless.
yeah. Our producer Mike Kelly was talking a little bit about Japan and just the things that he experienced too. Everything being so clean and just
And people so helpful.
people so
We would
helpful.
stop at a corner, I'm confused about where to go, and there would be,
Yeah.
5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
And the other part was fun was the restaurants would have these gorgeous wax models of the food outside. And so we would walk outside and point to what we want, and then walk back in and have the best food. And I love sushi, so I was in heaven.
Sans the wax.
Great fun.
So your family, you have a boy and a girl.
A boy and a girl.
Yeah.
Peter, Peter is in Bow, New Hampshire, and he has 3 beautiful, if I say so myself.
Yes.
Granddaughter,
Yeah.
daughters, our granddaughters,
Yeah.
and then my daughter Katie is in Bluffton, South Carolina, with 2 of our granddaughters. So we have 5 girlies in the family.
That's great.
2 of which, our youngest, are twin cousins. They were born 23 hours and 1,000 miles apart.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's great fun.
So
Yeah.
do you get them to, sort of participate going on walks and discovering rocks and...
We try,
Are they-
I try to get them out.
Yeah.
They're still, they're 4 to 8 right now.
Okay.
So we're blessed with youngies. But
Yeah.
on that, the middle of my son's daughters, Nora, is a rock collector. And not by my pushing at all. There must be something in the genes.
Yeah.
But she really has a good eye. The rocks she picks up are interesting for the most part. And case in point, we were at Cape Porpoise, and we were down between the headland where the old casino was and the pier, and down in that flat at low tide. And there's a lot of detritus, a lot of broken rock in there. And she picked up a piece and she said, "Papa, this looks interesting. This is different." And I looked at it, and I brought it to Tom Bradbury at the Trust, and he brought it to Tim Spar, our archaeologist, and it is a flake of the Moosehead rhyolite that was, it's just the most perfect
Wow.
flake. It's an artifact, probably, well, it could be significantly old. It is of the material that they used to make some of the oldest spear points 4,000 to 8,000 years ago. So, it's possibly, and we can't really tell, but I like to think that's what it is.
Did she get to keep
She
it?
was willing to donate.
Oh, isn't that nice?
So it is now part of the
that's
the brick
wonderful.
store.
Oh, that's
holding.
great.
Yeah, it's great fun.
Wow. So
She's going to be a great, if not a geologist, an excellent rock hound.
yeah, and she's probably, now that's even probably fired her up to even be more.
Oh, she collects like crazy. It's
Yeah,
great fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you retired. I said this to Connie too. You retired here, but you didn't just start enjoying your day with a cup of coffee and let's take a walk. You both have really immersed yourself in community projects and organizations. Can you talk a little bit about that work that you do?
It's been a great joy and a real privilege. We love Kennebunkport. Again, Connie, we met each other in 1980, and she hasn't missed a year either, being up here with me. So we both have deep roots. I'm sure Connie told you about Astaku and being
Yes, she did.
being up in Northeast Harbor before we even met. But my love, again, geology. I started with the Maine Mineralogical and Geological Society just a year after we came here, and I'm the treasurer of that now, so that's kind of fun. We have a big show. Oh, see, I'll make a pitch.
There we go.
April.
Our first pitch,
Our
Mike.
first pitch. But in Brick South is going to be our 37th annual rock, gem, mineralogy, and jewelry show. And it's a big show. We have 40 plus dealers. The only downside is that it's Easter weekend. And we have it the third weekend of April no matter what, and this year the third weekend is Easter. But on Saturday, if you're looking for something to do, Brick South in Portland, it's a great time. So,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Oh, I would like to do that.
And I'm responsible for the show, so hopefully it's going to go well.
Well, we will go up there and support you and check it all
you.
out.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
is there an admission?
Yep, there is.
Okay.
It's $4 for adults.
Okay.
And the kids under 12 are free. So it's
That's great.
But it's a great afternoon. You won't be disappointed.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Something that I really knew nothing about till a couple of years ago, and people have talked about. We have these wonderful little museums in Maine. So the Trolley Museum is right in our backyard here, but it's the only one of its kind
huge.
in the country.
It's huge.
Right. So, but a few of you were up at the Gem,
The Bethel Museum.
the Bethel Museum.
And that is world
So-
class. But as we're talking about small museums here, don't miss Motorland. That's another one to put out.
Right.
I had no concept. I mean, there are cars, and Jim has done such a superb job in the presentation, but that will wow you.
I drive by it every day.
No matter what you think of cars, even
I
if
need
you
to stop.
if you don't even know a car from a tricycle, that will wow you. So that's great. But the Bethel Museum is absolutely world class. Absolutely, there is nowhere on this planet, and I think this is absolutely not beyond the hyperbole. He has the finest collection of meteorites, pieces of space. The largest piece of Mars is there, has an excellent moon meteorite. He also has Earth meteorites. And if we had a little while, I'd tell you how the Earth can have a meteorite. But they are Earth meteorites.
Wow.
Back from the collision very early, the creation of the moon is part of the thought, but material was thrown up into space, and then over time, and now for probably close to 2 billion years, maybe more, it has re-entered. And is meteorite. So it's fantastic.
Wow.
Beautifully displayed.
That's great.
You can hold a piece of the moon.
Yeah.
There aren't many places in the world you can do that. You can hold a piece of Mars.
Oh,
Absolutely.
so so are they open all the time? Is it
I think they are closed on Tuesdays, but they're open year round.
okay? That's
and
good to know.
the geology of Maine, I shouldn't just talk about the meteorites, though those to me are the most impressive because they're the least familiar. But the whole history of Maine mining, we're unique. We're well known around the world for our pegmatite mineralogy, and that's the type of mineralogy that you get tourmaline and beautiful barrels from.
Yeah, there's
So our Maine tourmaline is next to none. There are other places in the world that have tourmaline, but we have a special variety and source here.
Yeah, and it's just some of the jewelry stores around that set like Cross and Springers. I mean, they're just exquisite when you go in,
Yeah.
and you think you're looking at an emerald, but you're looking at
Right. The
Tourmaline.
green tourmaline.
Yeah. Speaking of mining, so the earrings that I have on, the pine cone earrings that I have on, my husband bought these for me. He is a pharmacist and had a pharmacy in Portland. a few years back, and the mailman that used to deliver their mail mined for gold here in Maine. And so he would make
Wow.
jewelry. So these are from Maine.
That is so cool. That is so cool. Yeah.
So I got these from the mailman through
From
the pharmacist.
Could be a story there, but we're not going to.
That's right.
That's
But,
great. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't think about Maine like that. So I'm so glad that you know. Yeah. So we need to get you here at the library to do some programs and educate us on.
Well, but it's fun. There's a lot
Yeah.
of fun stuff to talk about. And the geology here, we are at what was the contact between two large continents 250 million years ago collided together
Yeah.
and created a mountain range that I think most geologists would agree was somewhere between the Alps and the Himalaya in terms of the magnitude of the mountain range, right where we're standing.
Yeah.
It is all eroded down, and it's the roots of the mountains that we walk on now.
Yeah.
But it's
And I was
pretty
going to say, like, preservation, we need to be able to just constantly keep that in mind.
cool. Yeah.
Because stuff is, slowly going away, unfortunately. So, can you talk to us a little bit about, so you're on a couple of committees here in town.
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
on the recycling.
The recycling committee. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've we a group of us got together and made a presentation to the Board of Selectmen, who agreed to take a look at the possibility of restarting
Right. 'Cause
recycling.
we lost that for a little while.
When China stopped taking the paper, we and there were some other factors that the town was caught in, where it was a huge spike in the cost of the town.
Right.
And I think very understandably, they had to put a hiatus in, just a halt. But we were able to reach an agreement with Eco Maine to do the reprocessing.
Yeah.
And our challenge was to keep the contamination level low, because there's a price to just collect and process the recycling, but then there's an extra fee which can actually double that price if you have contamination, styrofoam,
Right.
if you have kinds of plastics or wood that can't be recycled, then you get dinged. And it was a real real test for us to see if we could educate our residents. And I'm pleased to say that we have never once paid a contamination fee.
That is so
So
great.
it really is cool. And that was
Yeah.
during the whole summer. We
Yeah.
came close with plastic bags. Don't put your recycling in plastic bags, please. So the white plastic bags were an anathema. But we put up signs. The town was great on that. We put a sign going into Goose Rocks, just reminding people, and it worked.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because
we
when
did
you
that.
when you're vacationing places, you
Although many people that come to Maine are used to recycling.
They are,
So that
yeah.
was, but we have some quirks.
Yeah.
There's certain things we can and can't recycle. So
Yeah.
we need to let people know. So
right.
that's- yeah.
That's right. But I think for us here, we have a lot of cardboard because our books come in. They come in cardboard
Right.
boxes, and so for us to, it was a real eye opener here even at the library to see what we were accumulating and how we were sorting it, those kinds of things. And when our recycling went away, boy, it's like, okay, now what do we do? So thank you for
Oh, it's great to have it
getting
back.
in there and making sure that was something that we could get back, and that we're doing okay with it. So other committees, you're on the Atlantic Hall.
Yeah, I'm with Atlantic Hall.
Yeah.
And I do the budget board. This will be my second or third year, maybe my third year coming up on the budget board, which is always that's just a fascinating work to see the time and effort that the town, Lori specifically, puts into creating the plan and the budget for this community. It's really gratifying. It's a privilege to live in this town.
It really
is.
And it's a privilege to work in this town. And every year that I, with our request for our town funds for the library, I always try to make sure that I thank Lori and the selectmen and the budget board, because you go through such a process, and you're very conscious of the tax dollars.
Yeah.
You're very conscious about how that budget is, allocated, and you're thorough. And I a lot of towns are not.
Yeah.
It's very easy to just say, well, let's just raise the taxes.
Right.
That's the easy way out. But I think this town does a phenomenal job of making sure that, whatever needs to be cut. It's not easy,
No.
and especially when you get to know people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah, they've been very responsive and responsible. But then again, costs are going up.
Costs are going
So this
up.
is going to be a hard year coming
It
up.
is.
So just to say
Yeah.
that. But again, hopefully people will know the track record we have. Any decision that's made is not made lightly.
That's right, and
that's
that's what I see year after year. And I going in front of it's. I'm so nervous when I talk to the selectmen, and but Lori has been, she's been so helpful to us, and I think sometimes for us, it's the people in that room, and it's people that I know that use the library. So it's I'm talking with people that actually know what we do, and
Right,
we're
right.
not strangers
Right.
to them, and that's very
helps.
helpful. So, because we
Well, it's the
can,
love, the joy of a small town.
yes,
It's just the joy of a small town.
absolutely.
And which is true, and being able to be involved in so many things is again
Yeah.
a joy of a small town.
Right.
That's
And you're part of the trust
yes.
as well.
Uh huh. Yeah. I'm on the board of the trust, specifically on the harbor committee, because my love is the water and our islands. We have a true treasure in the 7 islands that the trust manages for us, and keeping the campgrounds open and clean.
Yeah.
Carol Morris and I had the Island Steward program, which is a great way to get involved on the ocean and the water. We have teams that go out and steward the islands. We pick up trash, which has been very little of, I must say, over the past 2 years, which has been amazing.
That's
but again,
great.
I guess there's less people out and what have you. But at any rate,
Yeah, but
but the Mylar balloons are not there, which is just a joy.
Yeah.
We used to have so many Mylar balloons. Anyway, but then and we weed whack and clear up the campsites and have a pretty good time out there on the water. So that's my love.
So, do you give tours to people too?
Yeah, we'll give harbor tours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone just call the trust and we'll set them up. We
That's great.
love to take people out and
Yeah.
show them the seals and give them a little bit of history. There's so much history in our water.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
1603 was the beginning of Stage Island, and the stages they would dry. It was named after the stages that dry the fish, right? Yeah. So they would sail over and catch the cod, which was incredibly plentiful then, and dry it, and then sail back. Now you'd think they have fish in England, so why they had to come here to get the cod, I don't know. But it was a business, and that's what they did.
So Martin Pring, the Speedwell, and the Discovery. I think we have a painting in the in the circulation area of the library. So those ships coming in, and
Yep.
lots of great history.
A lot
here
of
in
granite
this town.
taken out of our islands too. In fact, they leveled an entire island between the lighthouse and Cape Porpoise Pier. There was a 12-acre island called Milk Island. Beautiful pasture. In the 1880s, they used to. There was a farmer named Johnson, I believe, but he'd take his herd out there, and he'd take them out in the spring. Because he didn't worry about wolves, he didn't worry about fences.
Really?
And just let them graze on the island.
What a great place.
Wasn't that great? And I mean, it was perfect. In the fall, he'd bring them back in the barge. But then Perkins, who's the last owner of the island, sold it to a granite company, and that's all she wrote. They came in and quarried it right down to the low water line. Wow. So, but our granite's unique. Well, that's another whole story. But anyway, yeah. We got great granite, though.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, any other, do you get to sleep at all?
Oh yeah, well, it's great. Well, it's great fun. Well, the condo community, so we're
That's right.
We're active on that
That's
as well.
right.
But
Yeah,
it's,
good for you.
But it's just great fun to be involved.
Yeah.
It truly is.
Wow,
Yeah.
and we appreciate it because, some people I think will, they retire somewhere, and that's
Yeah.
there isn't much involvement, or maybe some towns will not embrace.
Well, I think that's really the thing. There's so much that one can do here to reach out and be involved.
Right,
And
right. Yeah.
it's a joy.
And we always need the help, so that's wonderful. As we get to a close, we do a little rapid fire, one answer,
Alrighty.
one word answers.
Uh-oh.
Some are longer.
Where were you on the night of the 24th?
Pretty
that's
much.
right. All right.
Yeah, pretty much. You've talked a little bit about travel
Yeah.
because of your job. Do you have a favorite vacation spot? Do you have a favorite?
Well, vacation spot was always here. So
Okay.
this Maine,
Yeah.
that's how I got here every
Yep,
year.
yep.
No, I don't say the chagrin of my kid. My wife was very tolerant, always coming to her in-laws.
Yes.
For her 2-week vacation.
But she liked it too.
Kudos to Connie on that one. But as far as Egypt to me was probably
Okay.
one of my
Yeah.
favorite vacations when I was traveling.
Yeah.
But to the Nile, the pyramids, Luxor, the Valley of the Kings. I mean, that was phenomenal.
Did you take a lot of pictures?
Yes, they're all 35 millimeter slides, but I have digitized them. Wow. Yeah, but back then pictures were so different than today.
Oh, it is true.
And how many of us at our age have movies of our kids when they were young?
Right.
I've got precious few and treasure them.
Yeah.
My daughter now, good Lord, I mean, it's wonderful, but I mean, it would, So
Yeah.
it's changed.
It has changed, and well, maybe you need to go back there and take some photos of.
I love it.
Yeah. So, what would be your favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, favorite ice cream. I make a mean vanilla.
Oh.
Yeah, and if I
Okay.
do say so myself.
Okay.
And I just like
The old rock turning.
without the rock, without
Okay.
the turning, without the rock. I mean, it's
See, I
a
would think-
Cuisinart. You plug it in, right?
Okay.
But it's cream, condensed milk, a little bit of half and half, sugar and vanilla. I mean, that's it.
Sounds great.
Oh, it's fantastic. I
Wow.
do say so. And then what you add to it while you're eating it is the good stuff. So kind of boring, but
No.
I like my vanilla.
I think that's great. What would be your favorite? Do you have a favorite book?
Let's see. A favorite. I have two favorite authors.
Okay.
And Asimov is for the science fiction, specifically the Foundation series and
Yeah.
the Robot series. The concept of the positronic brain and that whole sense of where that always fascinated me. And here in Maine, King's Gunslinger series
Okay.
is absolutely time. In fact, I'm on a quest.
Stephen King.
I'm on a quest of finding. So not very little. I'm a geologist, so I'll leave it there.
Okay. What about restaurants? Any favorite restaurants that
Oh
you?
God, many favorite restaurants.
Okay, give me your top three.
Chez Rosa
Okay.
is right up there at the top.
Yeah.
They have done just
They really
a
have. Yeah.
superb job. I like I would say the Bowie Monger, but that's not right. That was down in Bandaloop.
Oh, Bandaloop.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Bandaloop. And then if I'm going to put a favorite restaurant, I'm going to put a shout out to the Chowder House.
Okay.
When you're for the value of the Chowder House is just unsurpassed, and the view, people travel from across the world to be able to see that view of Cape Porpoise, and the people are just it's family. It's
Yeah. So do you know Peter Graham?
Yes.
He's lived in town for a really long time.
Yep.
When I asked him this question, he said the same thing. So people, get going down that little road, Pier Road, and you get to the end.
Yep.
And just to sit there and have a cup of chowder or lobster roll, or it is amazing.
Yep.
It is a beautiful spot. So, and they've been open a long time.
A long time. Well, it was Hazel's when I was a kid. Hazel Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sam Wild was the pier master, and so Sam and Hazel, it was all different, obviously, and there was a live tank behind. But it has been, and then it was Tilly's. Our family still calls it Tilly's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the Chowder House, but
Right,
to
right.
us, it's your name sticks, and so
Right,
it was always
right.
Tilly's. But yeah,
Now, was Hazel affiliated with the Shaman?
she was later.
Later,
Yeah,
okay.
when
That's what
worked-
I remember.
Yeah, I worked at the Shaman.
I did as well.
Did you? What years were you there?
86, 87, 88.
God, you're young.
Well,
Yeah, I
not,
was there- I
not
was-
so much anymore, but
I was there 67, 8, and
Okay,
9. Yeah,
okay.
it was in the late 60s. But
what a
but, yeah.
beautiful property.
Oh, Shaman was incredible. And we all lived there. And we
Yeah.
lived there. I mean,
People did.
Yeah.
Yes.
The kids we all had, even though my family was at Goose Rocks, I had the best of both. I had a anchor on the beach, but then
Mm-hmm.
Zorba, John Thermopoulos, and I had a little shed in the back that we totally restructured and ran electricity to it, and they let us do it. They were tremendous.
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you do for the Shaman? What did you do?
I was a busboy for the first year and an AP waiter, an American plan waiter. We were abused.
Oh.
God, it was awful. We got the ones where the folks would come for 7 days, and we'd serve them constantly for 7 days. So 21 meals you gave these folks. You're lucky if you got $50. So it was where the transient waiters, those were the cool guys.
Yeah.
I wasn't one of the cool guys.
Yeah.
Those were the cool guys, and they made the big bucks.
Yeah.
But it was great fun.
And it was a really nice, family, sort of
Yep.
like I think about the Nonantum
Yeah.
being that way, the colony being that way.
The old
I mean,
Narragansett, do you remember that down in the end?
yes.
Yep, there were some lovely, lovely old places.
And Connie talked about, when she was working up in Bar Harbor, that
Fantastic.
area, the same sort of thing, these beautiful spots
Yeah.
that are there, and people pay a lot of money to come and, but working there, it really gave me an appreciation for food, for just the beauty of where it was located, and, people that had their weddings and, different events there. So it's really sad that it's no longer
Well,
there, but
They're transitioning. It's
Yeah.
turning the page.
yeah, that's right. That's right. But it was a lot of fun people that were there too. So, our last question of the day: do you have a favorite library? And you've been to many places
I've
around
been
the world.
all over the world.
So-
Let me see. What would be a favorite library? Graves, of course, and of
wonderful.
course, what you guys do, and I'm a little partial,
Yeah.
being with Connie, but she, and I tell you, this has been such a joy. Connie has been a book person her whole life, and her mom would take Connie to the library, and there many of the stories she tells me of college is associated with the library. My memory of the library is a little different, but I was in a geotechnical library, so it was before the internet. So I mean, all my papers were on cards, the 7x9 cards, and you had to write down all the things. And but libraries were not always so fond in my memory. But this is a wonderful library.
And we appreciate both of you and how much you support us and do for us, and attending programs and just being there when we,
great fun.
can you help us with X, Y, and Z? So thank you very much.
a joy. It's
And
a joy.
thanks for participating in all of the things, that you do here in town. It's really helpful, and it's not for everyone. So thank you for your
it's a
time
privilege.
and
It's
your
a privilege.
commitment.
Thank you.
So thank you for being on our show.
Hey.
So, and we will hope to see you next time on What's Your Story?